watching Sun TV, broadcasting to the world from studios in Providenciales, in the beautiful by nature Turks and Caicos Islands. Sun TV, your source for real news as it happens.
Dr. Rufus Ewing holds his first official press conference, SIPT, to move from the Honorable Hilly Ewing building for elected officials to take office. Digicel celebrates Christmas early this year, and UK Overseas Territories Minister Mark Simmons to visit the TCI. These are our Sun TV headlines. I'm Leslie Garland, and thanks for watching. At what was Premier Dr. Rufus Ewing's first official press conference on the island of Providenciales on November 22nd, Premier Ewing discussed plans that his government have put in place and are working on to improve the Turks and Caicos Islands.
The first order of business was to establish and agree on procedures and rules for the conduct of cabinet meetings and interacting with the media. However, it is our intention and commitment to the people to hold a press conference the day after every fortnightly cabinet meeting so as to keep the public informed.
Premier Ewing also cleared up some housekeeping issues with regards to official press releases which are to be sent from the government from time to time. He noted that communications which were sent from Neil Smith, who is employed within the governor's office, will represent that of the governor's office, and the government press office, which is headed by Zadie Newfield, will put out any information that needs to be sent out by the government.
So we wish to make it clear that the government's press office, headed by Mrs. Zadie Newfield, is separate and apart from the governor's public relations mechanism, headed by Mr. Neil Smith, who is the governor's spokesperson. And as such, information coming from Neil Smith does not necessarily represent the views of the government or that of the governor, unless such information was made jointly.
During his election campaign, Premier Ewing addressed many issues which he has seen as pressing and has put in place a 120-day plan to accommodate some of them.
Our ministers are, however, committed to delivering on our plans and policies as outlined in our manifesto. Some of these plans that we hope to deliver within the next 120 days includes, but not limited to, the following. We are committed to encouraging new investments and new developments to provide more job opportunities for our people. We still intend to hold a major tourism and investment conference within this 120-day period to facilitate these initiatives. We would look at improving the organization and staffing of the Employment Services Unit of the Labor Department and engage in an active employment drive and audit so that we can begin to reduce the level of unemployment among our belonging population. We will also begin infrastructural works on several projects, important ones including the Ona Glinton Primary School, Juvenile Rehabilitation Center, and the North and Middle Caicos Causeway, just to name an important few.
Value-added tax was also addressed during the press conference by Premier Ewing.
In our upcoming cabinet meeting, we will be discussing the state of financial affairs in the TCI, including important topics such as value-added tax, for which we as an elected government will be making an informed decision on VAT and revenue strategies very shortly. We're an elected government. VAT is a policy decision, and we're elected to make policies. And I'm of the view that that should be within our remit and our powers, and we will go all out to put policies in place that we think are in the best interest of the people of Turks and Caicos.
Government ministries under the interim administration were narrowed down to 5 departments. Premier Ewing spoke to the recent changes and changes yet to come.
As you may recall, there were previously 5 ministries, and as I had said before elections, that the one concern that I had was the combination of health and education, which are 2 super ministries, And so we basically just did a split between health and education that created the 6th ministry to assign 6 ministers. The budget is due, we'll start the period coming for April, and coming for the April budget, there may be some reassignments of departments, of grouping of departments under various ministries, but as it stands, and there may be some renaming of ministries, but that will not happen in this now. That will happen from the April budget going forward.
Another issue that was addressed was a matter of adequate space for the Premier and his ministers to operate comfortably in Providenciales. Sun TV spoke with both Premier Ewing and Governor's spokesman Neil Smith regarding the issue.
As you can see, that we are currently holding this press conference at the Environmental Center due to the unavailability of official office in conference space for ministers on Providenciales. These are but some of the challenges that we are facing in the early days of transition. These challenges, however, of finding office for ministers to conduct business while in Providenciales and the various housing challenges that we are facing will be addressed shortly by your elected government. So we are asking the public to bear with us during this transition period as we ready ourselves to deliver for you, the people, as we had promised. So while in Providenciales, some persons will be working out of the various ministries. We have spaces available in the interim, but we will be moving quickly to reoccupying the upstairs portion of the Hilly Ewing building, which is an iconic government building, to be used as space for ministers and myself. We have engaged the various department that is responsible for that, the Ministry of Government Support Services, to ensure that appropriate space is located for the current occupants of that building, and they can be relocated elsewhere.
Could you say when?
As quickly as possible.
Well, I'd like to begin by saying that, of course, the Hilly Ewing building, the upper floor there, was used previously by chief ministers and for the government. And it's the intention that that is returned to the government as soon as possible. But that probably won't be overnight. Clearly, we have a situation just now where the Special Investigation and Prosecution team are using it. And the building at the moment is technically a police station. And of course you have an ongoing prosecution being run from those offices. You have an ongoing investigation being run from those offices. And of course there is evidence and other materials there. People come and go on a daily basis, whether it's to sign in their bail forms or to provide evidence or to be interviewed or to be questioned. And that needs to continue, so that is quite a large capability. So at Cabinet last week and in private meetings between the Governor and the Premier, this was discussed. So we recognise that it needs to change, and as soon as we can find alternative accommodation, that will be undertaken. But we're right at the beginning of the process. The conversations took place last week. Clearly there's a number of people that need to be consulted and brought in that. And I know that the police operational plan is to look at how in the sort of short to medium term, we mentioned this at the end of October, that the skills, the competences, the knowledge of the SIPT are used by the Royal Turks and Caicos Islands Police Force to develop what will probably be something along the lines of a financial crimes unit. So there already were medium term plans to do this, but clearly what we are looking to do is to give Premier Ewing and his ministers the room back as soon as possible, but it's not going to be this time next week. It will probably take a few weeks or a few months in order to be able to do that, and I hope they can be patient with us and understand the very good reasons for that.
UK Minister for the Overseas Territories in the Foreign and Commonwealth Office, Mark Simmons, will be making his first ministerial visit to the Turks and Caicos Islands next week from the 26th to the 28th of November. During his visit, Mr. Simmons will meet with Premier Rufus Ewing, the Cabinet, Charlene Cartwright-Robinson, who is the Leader of the Opposition, and House of Assembly members. He will also meet with TCI religious, civic, and business figures. In advance of his trips, Mark Simmons said, quote, "I am delighted to be making my first ministerial visit to the TCI at such a significant time, between the election and inauguration of the new House of Assembly. I particularly look forward to meeting the newly elected Premier and Cabinet. We have successfully fulfilled our commitment to restore a democratically elected government. The elections on the 9th of November mark the beginning of a new chapter for the islands and a new partnership between the UK and the TCI. I am pleased that the interim government have put TCI back on the right track with a new constitution, an updated set of laws, improved public finances and procedures, and improved and impartial civil service, and the TCI benefits from good inward investment and a growing economy. I am also pleased that the TCI government is working towards achieving a budget surplus for the year at the end of March 2013. The new fiscal architecture established by the interim government gives us the confidence that surpluses can continue to be achieved, that TCI can finance itself independently and sustainably when the UK guarantee expires in 2016 and meet its debt targets as required. The UK government is determined to ensure that the positive progress continues in the TCI and that there is no repeat of the scenario that led to suspension of democratic government." End quote. Christmas came early this year for members of the media and Digicel customers as Digicel rolled out its 2012 Christmas promotions.
And we're going to be giving away a $10,000 prize this Christmas. It'll be given before Christmas Day, so at least the person can benefit from it. It'll be given present on the 21st of December. And our customers can win this by sending 10 or more SMSs in a day, which is very easy. And we have a lot of promotions where you get SMSs for practically free. You can sign up for a data plan, and our data plans are also pretty, provide a lot of value. We have some data plans that you get 5 meg free a day. The purchase of BlackBerry or Nokia 610 smartphone, you can pay your postpaid bill on time and in full, and you'll be eligible to win the $10,000.
Digicel CEO E.J. Saunders announced the success for both the company and the government of the Turks and Caicos Islands.
In August this summer, the Turks and Caicos government sent out an RFP to have people bid on becoming their primary telecommunications provider, providing them with, they call it managed services, internet services, and WAN services in order to linking up all of the government offices and providing internet services and all sorts of additional services. It was a 5-year contract, and the idea is that you'd become the government's primary telecommunications provider. Digicel won that contract. We won it in September. Now, there's a big difference between winning a contract with government and getting the contract signed. So getting the contract signed took a while, but the contract is now signed, and we've now officially become, on paper, government's main telecommunications provider.
Saunders also explained the advantages of being a part of the Digicel network.
There are a few ways in which you can offer advanced services to the Turks and Caicos in the telecommunications. The cheapest way, the absolute cheapest way to do it, is to piggyback off a service outside of the Turks and Caicos and then just use a lease line back to that service. So we could buy capacity, if we wanted to, we could buy capacity from Sprint, we could buy capacity from AT&T. The most logical thing would be to use capacity from another Digicel island that's launching, maybe Jamaica, Cayman, and then use a lease line back to it, so we wouldn't have to have made that same investment. But the problem is when you do that, every time you click on a page or on a link or whatever, it has to go all the way to the core, the switch, the 4G switch, then go off to the internet, come back to the switch and come back to you. And that adds something that they call latency. And if it comes down to email, you may not notice the difference. But when you start talking about streaming video, you want HD video at home, you're a gamer, all that stuff adds up. So having the equipment on island is better for the service.
That's our Sun TV News package for today, Thursday, November 22nd, 2012. Until next time, when we bring you more real news as it happens, directly to your computer, your mobile phone, or your tablet. Until next time, I'm Leslie Garland. Thanks for watching.